All right, so we're just jumping in, dude.
Uh,
So we've been talking for a few minutes, and I just hit record. So now, whatever you say is going to be kind of out there on the record.
all right, we're ready.
All right, we're ready. So yeah, welcome everyone. Episode 28 of the Ministry of Freedom Show. Jim Motes, Mike Collins. Say hi, Mike.
Hey,
So we're going to unpack some heavy stuff here in a bit. It's going to be kind of a political talk a little bit, which is up your alley, isn't it?
yeah, I think so.
I think it'll be good. We'll
It's okay.
start with a story. I'll lighten it up a little bit. I'm going to tell a little bit of a God story. So I had one of those days last Sunday. So last Sunday, I go out and I got some errands to run. And so I'm out running around. I had to go get some gas. And I thought, you know what? I'm going to buy a lottery ticket, like, the Powerball.
Yeah, yeah.
And I know that how to play it a little bit. So it's all luck, obviously, but I'm going to get the power play and the double play, and I'm going to maximize my chances. So I got a $20 bill I'm going to throw at it. I'm going to get crazy with my gambling. So I go into the station and I say to the guy, I want, whatever, 5 Powerballs. And before I could spit out the rest, he just gives me my ticket and he says, okay, that'll be $10. Because he didn't get like my add-ons on it.
Yeah.
Okay, no big deal. So I give him a 20, he gives me a 10 back. Put my 10 and my ticket in my pocket and get my car roll. Next stop, Whole Foods. Now, I go to Whole Foods quite a bit, and I saw something when I pulled up that I've never seen before. So there's a homeless dude outside of Whole Foods, and he's not, panhandling or being obnoxious. He's obviously a homeless guy. He's got his cart and his gear and stuff, and it's a little bit chilly, so he looks cold, and he's bundled up. So I'm sitting in my car. I just happened to park right in front of him. So I'm looking at the guy, and right away I get the impression, I'm like, go talk to this dude and see where it goes. And I have one of those dang it, argue it with myself moments there. I'm like, oh, I don't want to talk to this guy. And I felt kind of, God nudges me to do things. So I get out of my car, I walk over to the guy, and he sees me coming towards him. And I'm like, hey, man, what's your name? He's like, huh? I said, your name. Probably being a little more aggressive than I needed to be.
Yeah.
He says, Daniel. I said, hey, Daniel, I'm Jim. This is going to sound strange to you. I just felt led that I needed to get out of my car and come over here and pray for you. Is that okay? And I'm in the middle of the parking lot area, dude. And there's people around. I don't care. He's like, okay. So I just start saying a prayer over him. God, protect Daniel and bless him. And I don't know his situation, and just trying to talk to God and intercede on Daniel's behalf. I don't know. But I felt led to do it. So I did. I felt great about doing it afterwards. I start walking away. I thought, oh, shit, I got that 10 in my pocket. That I spend on the lotto. I just walked back over. I said, and he didn't ask for money. No, nothing. No sign that says, please give me money. So I said, Daniel, I happen to have $10, man. I hope this makes your day better. He's like, oh man, he's overwhelmed by it. And I thought, yeah, that's that. I feel pretty good. I feel good. I'm gonna go and do some shopping. So I go and get my shopping and go check out and everything. And I'm carrying my bags out. And I look over and there's like this florist area, and they have these beautiful fresh flowers. I thought, that'd be a nice surprise for the girls. I'm going to get some flowers and take home. So there's a florist lady there, and I grab a couple and said, hey, can I just pay for these right here? She says, you know what? I'm the florist, but I don't have the cashier duties. I can't do that. She goes, let me see what you have here. So I show them to her. She goes, you know what? There's a couple over here I think might even look a little bit better if you'd allow me. I said, okay. So she goes and she gets me the nicest one because she's the florist, and they're each $10. So I got 2 bundles, right? So I got to go back through the cashier lines and pay. So I said, thank you so much, ma'am. Have a great rest of your Sunday. I take a couple steps away. She says, hey, sir. I said, yeah. She says, come back over here. She says, I don't have any idea why I'm going to do this, but she rips the tag off of one of them. She says, tell them, Sally, the florist, said you can have one of these for free. So they're only going to cost you $10 instead of 20.
Oh my gosh.
I went, whoa. So I get goosebumps when I tell that. So yeah. I don't spend the whole 20 on the lotto. I get a 10 back in my pocket. God leads me to pray for Daniel, the homeless guy. And then I'm led to give him $10. I go back inside, and as I'm leaving, this chick doesn't know why she's doing it, but says, I'm going to give you $10.
That's crazy.
And so that was my Sunday. And I thought, thank you, Lord.
Yeah.
Allie calls that stuff God winks.
Okay.
Kind of God, kind of winked at you and said, there you go. And so I am up here and I am looking at you, and dude, it was just pretty cool. So I thought that would be. I thought you would find that kind of neat. You like that stuff.
really, really cool, man.
So when you're led to pray for the freaking homeless guy, I guess go pray for the homeless
Follow
guy.
along. Yeah, the Holy Spirit's telling you to do something, bud. Just
You
follow
just
along.
got to. And I'm an arguer, man. Because the Holy Spirit tells me to do stuff all the time. I'm like, no. And then when I relent, but yeah. So it is what it is. Let's shift gears. You ready?
Yep.
Oh, you want to talk about 75 hard quick?
Okay.
All right.
How you
So
doing?
at the end of today, and the hard stuff's done because I'm not going to drink alcohol. My water is going to get done. I've done both workouts today. The second one was in between storms, but it was still raining and windy, and so it was pretty cool. So at the end of today, I'll be a third of the way through.
Okay.
This is day 25. And I'll tell you a couple things I've noticed about 75 hard. So there's changes that happen to you when you do this. And some are physical because I mean my nutrition's pretty dialed in, and the 2 workouts a day, 50 workouts in 25 days is a lot. And I feel really good. And I've noticed some physical changes and things too, which is fun and cool. But man, I feel amazing. Like not just from a health perspective, I feel super confident. Crummy stuff that's happened to me a little bit is like, oh man, it kind of rolls off my back a little bit. And some of the junk isn't as big a deal. Like I shared with you, I had piping hot burning coffee dump on me today because the Starbucks lid wasn't put on the cup.
Yep.
So it poured all over my leg, and I just got like an actual burn on my leg, and I need some of that Seinfeld balm.
Yep.
But I don't know how many people will get that reference. But, and I was like, oh, that sucks, but you know, it is what it is. The program is, man, I'm in a pretty good headspace. I recommend this, not just like, oh, I got to lose weight or I want to get in better shape. That's a byproduct of it, man. It does a lot.
Yeah.
This is good. And you look amazing. And so you're on your 75.
I'm on a 75 soft, we'll call it, but I started the first form 8-week challenge on April 1st. So I want to lose 3 pounds a week. I'm on track for that.
No kidding.
I'll be down 12. Yeah, by Monday I'm down 11 now. So
that's great.
Keep
it's nuts how you can see 11 pounds, man.
Yeah. It feels way better. And I'm literally just started with diet pretty much, like some exercise, but I definitely have not made. I wanted to do exercise at least something every day. A lot of these days of mine have been just getting out of the truck and walking, which normally I wouldn't do.
Yeah.
And that's like just walk around job sites and, you know,
that's
way more active than even if it just, but I'm definitely, I definitely need to pick that up more as we go here. Mostly it's just been diet to this point.
And then that'll do it too. If you did no actual training for 8 weeks, but you were spot on nutrition wise, you'd lose 30.
Yeah. Yep.
But yeah, the training is going to help too. That's really good, man. Congratulations.
Yep.
All right. Ready for scripture?
Let's have one.
Joshua, chapter 1, verse 9 from the Living Bible. Yes, be bold and strong. Banish fear and doubt. For remember, the Lord your God is with you wherever you go. Banish fear and doubt. I love that.
Yeah, that's good.
Good stuff. A couple things I want to discuss with you. Let's talk about our president. I don't know if you saw this or not. And I'm not one that mocks President Biden when he slips on the stairs because you know what? I slip and he's old and I get it. You know, people slip. But sometimes it's just too much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know if you saw this. So I'm watching a speech of his the other day. And he's reading from the prompter, as they all do.
Yeah.
Right? And I remember this part of the speech because he's at a part where he has to kind of crescendo it up a little bit. And he says, so I'm asking you for 4 more years. So, you know, and that's going to get people kind of cheering and stuff. Here's how he did it. I'm going to do my best President Biden impersonation, okay? Because he's a little bit, you know, how he's a little bit like that. He says, I'm asking you for 4 more years. Pause.
Dude, that's circulating around the internet. I think I might even send you that clip too. Yeah.
And it's real.
Yeah.
And come on, man.
Yeah,
I mean, that doesn't disqualify him from being a leader, but boy, it's at least got to.
He looked so confused when he was reading it. And when he read the word pause, where he's supposed to pause and let people chant. Yeah. I mean, he was so confused. And then he kind of got this look like, what's going on? And
yeah. And I do feel bad for this guy a lot of times because he's clearly being manipulated. And
Yeah.
all of his events, like you saw the thing where Trump was at Chick-fil-A and he's kind of a man of the people, and the black chick with the long dreads is put her arm around him, is talking about, you've got our vote, and and that's all very organic and natural. And Biden sets these things up at restaurants, and they have clips of how they're being told an hour before where he's going to sit, and they're to say this, and he's going to do this, and it's all just so staged. And I can't believe that people would fall for that.
Well, he
Yet
also
they're being told
they're going to be mad at me. I'm not supposed to say this. I wasn't supposed
Yeah.
to take any questions. They say I can't. I mean, you're the president of the United States, man.
Yeah.
Who are they? Why are they telling our president of the United States that he can't ask a question with the press?
Yeah. So that's a problem. It's something needs to change. And I've got some notes over here. So when you see me glancing over here, I've got my my book of stuff that I really wanted to talk about today. Because man, I've just been stuff's on my heart, and I'm sick of seeing it. So pro Hamas, and that's what I call them when they are pro Hamas. They'll say that they're just pro Palestinian. They're not anti-Israeli. They are. So they're anti-Jewish, pro terrorism, Palestinian backing college students, apparently, who have decided that it's okay to instill fear in Jewish students to the point of not allowing them to walk around on campus and attend classes, and then do these sit-ins where they are taking over college campuses, and classes are now canceled at a lot of schools, generally Ivy League schools, not all though. Columbia, NYU, Berkeley, USC, Harvard, to name a few. And did you see what happened at the University of Texas in Austin a few days ago?
No.
So, well, the reason you didn't see it is it popped off for about an hour. And within an hour, because they're doing this sit-in stuff and they got their tents and they're, because it's just a copycat country. Hey, if these kids in the East Coast are doing it, we got to do that too, or we're not woke enough and cool. So within an hour, there are armed state troopers and armed campus police with long guns marching in military formation through the campus. And it ended in 60 minutes and hasn't popped off since. Yeah. And the press release was, that's not happening here.
Right. So
that's the right message, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy. I flew into New Orleans Monday, that's where I am now. So St. Charles Avenue is like a big street in town. It has the trolleys on it. It has a lot of the old mansions. It's like a really cool area where people go check out, part of the Garden District. They actually had this sit down the other day, and they took banners and they blocked off the street. And the New Orleans police were dispatched, but told not to touch them. They actually stopped traffic for hours. And look, I don't care what your cause is, even if it's a cause that I'm 100% behind. Blocking traffic of people that you don't know what people have going on in their lives. If they're going to pick up a child that's at school, okay, now my kid's stuck at school and it's 8 o'clock at night. I've been trying to be there for 3 hours. Somebody could be going to a doctor or a hospital.
What about an ambulance?
Yes, anything. I mean, it's not okay to block traffic. So the New Orleans police, they won't do anything. So they just let it sit. They went out there and they blocked off St. Charles Avenue for hours and nothing was done about it.
Yeah. So the issue, I'm glad you mentioned this. The issue isn't the cause. The issue is the methodology. And it's not that can't be acceptable. You can't take over institutions and essentially shut them down to get your voice heard. There are ways to protest. They have the right to protest. In fact, I would be there with a sign in my hand saying they have a right to protest. Yeah. I'm a First Amendment dude. I'm a freedom guy. I'm a Constitution guy. But you don't get to shut down the Golden Gate Bridge. You don't get to do things like that and stand on the interstate, and that can't be allowed. And the consequence to that shouldn't be you go get beat up with a baton. The consequence should be give them a chance to disperse. And if they don't, they need to be arrested, and they can be arrested as peacefully as possible. And if their choice at that point is to resist, then they need to be arrested and detained by whatever means necessary, up to, well, I don't want to say lethal force, because lethal force isn't acceptable unless they're putting the officers' lives in danger, but there's physical force that's going to need to happen. And they need to understand that. And I think once that message is out, it needs to be across the board, though. It can't be in this community, it's okay, and this one it's not. That further divides the country. Because if I gave you a list of cities and told you pick the ones where this is going to be tolerated and give me the list of the ones where it's going to be not tolerated, you'd be able to tell, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Yep.
Like if I said, hey, San Francisco, California, and then they're also trying to stage one in Bozeman, Montana.
Right.
What would you say is the one that's going to be allowed?
San Francisco will be blocking traffic for sure.
Yeah. And so that's where the divide comes in. There shouldn't be a division between right and wrong and civility. And I think it's got to stop.
Shouldn't be able to interfere with other people's lives with your protest. That's what it comes down to. Whether I'm just trying to get home from work. Okay, I mentioned emergency situations earlier, which again, that's kind of messed up to think about. But yeah, even if I'm just going home for dinner, my life should not be affected by your protest.
Why did they have a right to mess with you? And you don't have a right to mess their life up.
Yeah.
You don't have a right to interfere in their lives either. We should be go ahead and protest and exercise your rights, but not when you're affecting other people negatively. I totally agree.
Other people. Once your protest begins to become the detriment of other people, then obviously it should be squashed.
Yeah. So I some of my notes here, maybe you can pipe in and give me your thoughts on what I wrote down. I think what we're seeing now isn't just, it just popped up because it's 2024. I think what we're seeing is the indoctrination of our youth has been going on for decades.
Yep.
What we're seeing now is some of the fruit of that stuff, the anti-American seeds that have been sown in the education system. And I think it kind of, to me, the first time I remember it was when I remember hearing that California outlawed being able to pray and say the Pledge of Allegiance in schools.
Right.
Remember, that's 20 something years ago. And I thought, I guess it's not a huge deal, but it's a little bit of a slippery slope. Because when I was a kid, of course, we're going to get called boomers. But when I was a kid in elementary school, we stood up every day with our hand on our heart and said the Pledge of Allegiance. Did you do that?
Yeah.
We had flags in our classroom.
Flag. Yep.
And you faced the flag and you said, so when that became outlawed, I thought that could be the start of a slippery slope. And it turns out it probably was.
Yeah. Some of these college protests that one of the people told all the Jewish students to leave the campus at one of that. Yeah. Because they were actually threatening danger of basically saying, kill the Jews.
Yeah. I just don't know why it's okay to say kill anybody.
Right.
It's not okay for you and I to say, hey, Mike, let's kill the protesters.
Right. Yeah.
That's not okay.
No.
You can't be running around threatening groups of people with violence.
Right. Based on religion. It's weird that the left is supposed to be the tolerance, but they tolerate, and it's weird, like too, when you see like transsexuals and they're screaming for Palestine. These guys will stone you to death.
Yeah.
If you go over there, they will stone you to death. The Israelis won't.
Yeah. So
Palestinians will.
If you're a homosexual person, you can go live in Tel Aviv, Jerusalem, and you're going to be able to live a fairly peaceful existence over there.
Yes.
If you cross over and you want to live in, say, southern Lebanon, or you want to go over to Gaza and live prior to it being made into rubble, you're going to have problems. When I first saw that sign on the news that said "Queers for Palestine," I'm like, what are we talking about?
They will kill you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, they will kill you.
Yeah, I don't get it. So the other thing is that I wanted to bring up to you. One of the things that they're screaming and screaming and screaming at these rallies is the words "Death to America."
Mm-hmm.
What? Then I thought to myself, do I support their right to say that? I think I do. And that's a slippery slope for me.
It's slippery.
However, if they're doing it peacefully in an organized way, and if they're not inciting violence and they're not shutting down society, and they want to say, we believe in death to America and America's awful. And first off, obviously get the hell out of here. If it's so bad, there's a bunch of other countries you can go to. We can work on starting a fund to help get them out of here. Pick a country. Where would you like to go live?
Well, I don't want them to go where I want to live. I pretty much want to send them all to Canada.
Yeah, for sure. That's a good place. Canada won't let you in anyway.
Yeah.
Bro, you can't get into Canada.
I can't get into Canada. So yeah, and everybody always talks about how nice Canada is. I'd say let's ship them to Canada. We can get
I
them.
agree.
The transportation cost should be minimal, and I'm willing to start a fund.
Yeah, I am too. I like that. Maybe we should. Is there will GoFundMe allow that?
I think so.
So the Death to America stuff, man, I can't.
I have a problem with flag burning, flag stomping, Death to America. I actually do have a problem with all that.
I have a huge problem with it. I just don't know if
it can't
if it's illegal, because now we're starting about slippery slopes. Well, because I can understand some of the things that I might go out in the streets and say, perhaps it's as offensive to them as Death to America is to me. And I don't want my right to say things being taken away. So I don't want their rights to be taken away either. So we're either constitutionalists or we're not. But we also have to understand if they're taking it to the point of violence, and I mean, there are lines.
Death to America is different, I guess, and it is different than choosing a group like a Jewish people. Like I say, one of the people were telling the Jewish students they need to go home because they're in imminent danger. The fact that
the Jews is not protected free speech to me.
Right, I agree.
That's different.
Yeah,
I can't. That can't be allowed.
Yeah.
So it got me thinking, especially because my few minutes I enjoyed last Sunday with our man Daniel, the homeless guy.
Mm-hmm.
How long until Christians are attacked in that manner that Jews are being attacked now? Or does that sound so outlandish? That could never happen in this country. I'll tell you, the people that say the answer, they would answer me, that'll never happen in this country. There's nothing that I have on that side of the ledger anymore. I think anything can happen.
You know what's funny is if you actually Google what the most persecuted religion in the world is, not the U.S., it is Christianity.
Absolutely.
Christians are being killed all over the world.
All over the world, en masse, that are hiding out in groups, reading the Bible, praying to Christ, and boldly, as we read in Joshua, with boldness and courage, they're declaring their faith. And that's inspiring to me. And I think that I could see in our lifetime a point to where if I was standing there in the middle of the Whole Foods parking lot and I was praying for the homeless guy, Daniel, and people saw that stuff, that could cause a problem.
Yeah.
Perhaps not in Omaha, Nebraska, but maybe someday.
Like I told you, and I mentioned this before to you, when I was in Omaha and listening to Z92, the old Todd and Tyler show, and one day they started talking about how they saw a guy driving with an American flag up in the box of his truck, and one of their DJs is like, yeah, I'd beat the crap out of that dude or whatever. Like, you hate a guy who has an American flag up in the back of his truck and just immediately assume that this is someone who needs a beating.
He's racist. So the flag, the American flag. Now, I don't buy into this, but there are people that see the Confederate flag and think, hey, that guy's a racist. He's a redneck. He probably needs his ass beat. I don't buy into that. But
this was the American flag they were discussing, that a guy with waving his American flag in the box of his truck up, that he's obviously a redneck. That
how do we get there? I take it back to, like I said, the indoctrination of kids. So a lot of these children that are now 25 years old are the target audience for Todd and Tyler. I don't think Todd and Tyler believe that crap that they're saying, but I also know that they're old and fat and comfortable, and they need their syndication and they need their demographic numbers, and they need 18 to 35-year-olds to listen to their stuff, which I can't imagine how many of those are tuning in to listen to freaking Foghat anyway. But these dudes probably don't even believe the crap they're spewing. But I think the mass media and certainly advertisers are catering to people they believe feel this way. Otherwise, why is Bud Light putting a trans person as the face of their beer? I mean, come on. It's pandering. And I think at every turn, the pandering's failed.
Yeah. So Christianity is definitely the most persecuted religion worldwide, and middle-aged white males is the most discriminated against in the country now. You know, when we talked about that a little bit before, but when Joe Biden was nominating somebody for the Supreme Court, and he said, I will only choose from a black female.
Yeah.
Could you imagine if he would have said, I will only choose a middle-aged white male? Like, That would be illegal.
Yeah. It's insane
so crazy that it's okay now.
I try not to be closed-minded, but perhaps I am in some areas, and here's one of them. I can't get to a place where I'm understanding how people can look at the options put before us politically. And I'm not just talking about Trump and Joe Biden. Those are going to be the choices that we're going to have to choose when we're in the voting booth. But I'm talking about the ideologies as a whole.
Yeah.
The left agenda compared to the right agenda. And they're both pretty jacked up. And the answer is somewhere in the middle. And I don't know that we're going to get any centrist solutions anytime soon, but I think that's the ultimate answer. I have a hard time with people that can look over at the left and everything that they're about. It made me sick to watch all these people waving the Ukraine flag in Congress last week when they passed that package to fund wars over there, while we've got homeless veterans that can't get a meal.
Yep.
And they would be the left base that they pander to if they stood in there one day and said, hey, how about we wave the American flag in here in Congress?
Mm-hmm.
They'd be shunned and canceled and everything else. I don't even think that it's okay to wave our own flag in Congress, and people are celebrating waving the Ukrainian flag. I'm not anti-Ukraine, but what I am is pro-America.
No.
And I don't know. I have a hard time understanding how people are buying into that nonsense that there's.
It's a lot of my problem with immigration, just unchecked immigration. I'm for immigration. I don't have a problem with immigration, but unchecked immigration, we have so many problems that we are not addressing in the U.S. with the U.S. citizens, that we have so much mental illness, drug addiction, homelessness, people that are down and out that need taken care of. And we can't do that apparently for some reason, but yet we're helping. I mean, there's really not a country we don't donate to. Even countries like, when you look through the list, it's even countries that you would think, why are we giving money to England?
Right, but their GDP is strong enough to where you think they should be self-sustainable.
Why are we giving money to France?
Let's talk about NATO. So the NATO countries, and Trump had this pretty much nipped in the bud, but he's not in there right now. And I think if he gets back in it, he'll probably get more in line. But NATO countries have to contribute X amount of their GDP to NATO. And I think it's 2.5%. I could have that number wrong, but we contribute, a multiple of that, so many times more than that. And other NATO countries barely contribute at all. And my question is, we have to give billions and billions and tens of billions of dollars to Ukraine to lift them up, because the fear is that Russia is going to be pushing west and that these countries are in jeopardy. How about the countries that are in fear of Russia knocking on their door start kicking down a little bit? That would make a little sense to me, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
But they don't. How much money is Poland kicking down?
I don't know. Probably not. Yeah, they should definitely be on the top of the list.
What? I should have put the question a different way.
Yeah.
Is Poland contributing $69 billion this year?
Right. Definitely not.
No. That's probably, their GDP is probably not that big. But it's so out of whack, and I can't get on board. I can't get on board.
People don't understand, and both parties, is that the U.S. does not have this money. We're printing money, and everybody's seeing this every day at the cash register. The fact that 80% of all of our money has been printed in the last few years has made the dollar worth less. And now you see it, and everybody's like talking about inflation. It's because of this crazy printing, and people are still thinking, well, we need to fund this, we need to fund that, we need to, take care of student loan debt, we need to give money to Ukraine. No, we actually have to stop the spending.
I got the stat of the day for you. Are you ready?
Yep.
All right. I had to make sure this was correct, because as you say it out loud, you're like, no, that's wrong. There's no way this is accurate. Okay. Are you ready? 40% of all the United States currency that's ever been printed. That's a long time, right?
Yep.
We're talking about going back to silver certificates and money.
Yep.
I'm going to start again.
Yeah.
40% of all the currency that's ever been printed in the United States has been printed in the last 12 months.
Right. Well, and the number, if you go back to 2020, it's 80%.
No way.
It's 80%.
Dude,
80% of all of the money in existence have been printed in the last 3. Well, I said 3, but it's now 4 years.
so I got an idea, and this isn't my idea.
So
And I wish I had written
$1.05 in 2019. Of all the money that exists, we had $1.05 in existence then.
Yeah. So here's my
Jeez.
question. I didn't make this up. I wish this was my bit, but it's not. So I saw a dude, and he says, "Okay," because they were talking about this conversation. Dude says, "Okay, why are we paying taxes? Because inflation itself is a tax. Because they've caused this. We're now paying so much more." He says, "How about we just take the tax dollars that they're collecting from us, let us keep it, and just print it."
Yeah.
And he's being facetious,
Right.
but
it's what's happening.
facetious with the goal of making an actual real point. The point is, at least pause and give that some thought.
Yeah.
I was at the store the other day. Man, maybe I just had my head in the sand for a long time. I bought mayonnaise, not the freaking gallon at Costco.
Yeah.
Right? Mayonnaise. It comes in a jar.
Yeah.
Okay. How much do you think mayonnaise is?
$5.
Okay. Now there is $5 mayonnaise.
It was $2. I would have thought it was $2 before.
Stuff that made with like avocado oil, and it's a little healthier, but it's still mayonnaise and it's in a jar. It's $8.99, dude.
It's crazy.
It's
it would have been $2.
$8.99.
It would have been $2 5 years ago.
It's $50 every few weeks for Chewy to bring cat food.
Yeah.
What are we talking about, man?
And the thing is all this money that we're talking about that's been printed, that $4 out of $5 that have been printed.
Yeah.
We didn't get them.
Oh, no.
The government's spending it on defense, on Social Security, on all these. It didn't go to us. It didn't go to America. A lot of it was given overseas.
Oh, a tremendous amount. That's why the funding of these endless wars, man. It used to be they were called neocons because they were Republicans. They were neoconservative people that wanted these endless wars and feed the military-industrial complex. And now there's neo on both sides, right? There's neoliberals, neocons. This is what a lot of these people are about, and that's when people like Tulsi Gabbard speak up against this stuff. They are marginalized, and they'll find every reason in the world to find that she's not fit to serve, and it's maddening to me. And what's going on in the House of Representatives with the new speaker and just laying down? They passed this bill with no border concessions at all.
Yeah,
you may as well have a Democratic majority in the House and a Democrat speaker based upon the decisions that have been made. So I don't know the fix to it. But I'm still of the belief that as we start ticking closer to the election, I think the Biden progressives are getting a little freaked out that they're going to have a tough time winning. And I think they're praying somehow they can call Trump a convicted felon.
Yeah.
And, I guess we'll find that out in the next few weeks on trial number 1.
Yeah.
Another sham, just absolute absurdity. But I still think that summer's on the horizon. And I think that it feels like we're on a bit of a powder keg.
Yeah.
It just feels like when you're watching the news and you're seeing what's going on and you're seeing with your own eyes, you're down in New Orleans, and okay, that's not just the spun stuff on the news. You're seeing in real life, in real time, how police are told to handle agitators that are trying to disrupt society.
Let them do what they want to do.
Yeah, it's nuts. We're going to do something that we haven't done on the show before. So I'm going to finish off with a little bit of a rant that I wrote. So I'm going to finish off with I guess if we had a real show, I'd be reading from a teleprompter, but I wrote some stuff and I'm just going to write down some thoughts and spew it. I don't even know how it's going to come out, and I'm happy to get your thoughts on it. But would you allow me just to sit here and read?
Yeah, let's do it, man.
All right. You want to see something funny? I don't like to have my glasses on when I do the show.
Yeah.
Look at the size of the print.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Dude, I'm on it.
You're going to be, it's okay if you read stuff that you wrote. You're going to be a professional writer soon. Much as I've claimed to be a professional race car driver for the last 30 years.
You are. Have you ever made money racing?
Yes, I've actually made money 2 years racing.
What I'm going to be is called a published author.
Right.
Professional would make it the
I will buy your book, and that will mean that whether you made money or not, you received money, and believe me, the IRS will tell you that you are now a business. So
that's exactly right. So, dude, okay, I'm going to talk to you about the book. Okay, So we're talking about race, political division and things earlier. So I get back section 3 of the book. That's the edited copy. And so the editor can make notes and stuff. And up to this point, it's been change this spelling, this tense was off, and this needs a semicolon. And I really appreciate all this stuff now. She decided to overstep her bounds a bit and get a little political with me. She doesn't like my tone. I put something in there about, talking about 2020 and George Floyd and, that whole incident, how it kind of sparked the powder keg that led to the, BLM and Antifa tearing up cities and stuff. My editor, and I'm pretty safe because I'm sure she doesn't watch this show. Certainly not 25 minutes into it. She sends me a highlighted note and I'm like, what is this? And she put, I have a Black Lives Matter sign in the window of my home. Are we enemies, Jim? I mean, I wanted to type probably. In all honesty, no. But I mean, I believe in the attitude of, do Black people matter? Yeah, their lives matter. So all lives matter to me. The organization, Black Lives Matter, is a freaking sham.
Have been shown to be a sham.
It's a communist freaking money fucking sham. And everybody that's anybody with half a brain is in on the scam. Doesn't mean you don't have a heart for African-American people and you are against racism, which I am. But the organization is a scam. I thought, man, she's throwing all these things at me about you got to soften this up and you got to, okay, well.
I assume she's gets paid. I mean, she's not doing this for free, right? This isn't a volunteer. Yeah, she gets paid.
Who pays her?
Yeah, you.
Me.
So that would make you the customer?
Yes.
You need to give her the customer is always right. Yeah. Here I am, the customer.
Though, and I'm being a little flippant, but I welcome the comments, really. I really do, because I want to pause and be like, and I did change a couple wordings because I can get my point across without some of that in there. And I want to soften some of it up in order to get the message across and still get the message across, I should say. So I welcome the constructive criticism and I want to open the dialogue. And as I was reading her notes, at first I'm put off. And then I thought, you know what? Being put off is the problem we have in the country right now. I need to understand where she's coming from. Now, it doesn't mean I'm going to, look, she changed my views. Yeah. But I at least need to have an empathy and an understanding for where she's coming from. She and I need to be able to have a dialogue, not hate each other, and then have the end be we're both contributing to each other.
What our whole country needs, especially in Congress.
Yeah. So it was an interesting microcosm that I dealt with dealing with the editor. I thought, I needed a little of that. And I disagree with 99% of what she said. But if there's 1% in there that she's right on, and that's going to help me and the product be better, I'm all about it, dude.
Yeah.
So it was cool. You ready for some reading?
Yeah, let's do it.
And talk about the election. This election is about a lot of important issues. The border, the economy, inflation, funding endless foreign wars, social issues such as abortion, rampant crime, including the alarming uptick in migrant crime, to name an important few. But at its core, the election's about the future of the republic. One side openly aligns with those who wish to allow anti-American sentiment to flourish and to take root in our youth, while transferring their student debt to others who are forced to work hard to pay the tab. While the other side wants to secure our borders, make our country safe, strengthen our economy, and stand against the weaponization of our Justice Department. The Biden progressives push their woke, anti-Christian, pro-LGBTQI+, forced inclusion and equity agenda, while the other side says, hey, you do you and live free as a contributing member of society and we can all get along. But don't expect the rest of us to pay your bills, give you advantages you didn't earn, or play along with your false realities about being a gay furry who identifies as a cat and pisses in a litter box while calling us bigots and criminals if we fail to gender or identify you properly because we refuse to play along with your sick fantasies. If you love this nation and believe it's the best country in the world, despite our inherent flaws, if you want to pursue your God-given right to life, liberty, and happiness, if you want a nation of law and order where criminals are held to account while law enforcement is lauded and respected, if you want to live in a country where you and your family are free to worship how you choose, if you're sick and tired of your tax dollars lining the pockets of the world's elites under the guise of fighting for democracy around the globe, if you want equality of opportunity rather than handouts based on race, gender, or sex, if you believe allowing bought and paid for rioters to destroy our cities every other summer must never again be tolerated, and if you want your children and their children to have the opportunity for a better life than you had, you better wake up and vote for Donald Trump in November. Now, if you don't believe in the things I addressed, then exercise your right to vote this fall and check the box for Biden. But the fall of the greatest nation on earth will be at least partially on your conscience.
Yeah.
Thoughts?
As I've said before, I mean, there's no getting around it. I'm not happy with either candidate. I wish there was a true third party.
Me too.
And I hate the fact that we have to be, everything seems it has to be so far right or so far left, when 70 to 80% of the country is truly in the middle.
In the middle.
And we can't have a party that represents those ideals. And that comes down to a money thing too. I mean, a lot of the Democrats say, well, the Republicans are the party of the rich or the wealthy. And it's not that anymore. Some of the richest people in the world are Democrats. Yeah. It's just the fact that now those rich people on the left and the rich people on the right refuse to fund a middle party. And it's became so much like you were talking earlier about the neos on both sides now. Our defense is huge spending, and it makes this all a huge business. And that's why all the defense companies are funding both parties, because they want to keep their flow of cash coming in. They want these bills to keep going on, these wars to keep going on, the purchases of fighter jets and missiles to keep going on. And dude, I just want somebody in the middle. But if choosing between these two, I'm 100% on board with Donald Trump. I wish it wasn't my choice. I honestly do wish that wasn't my choice. But given the two choices we have, yeah, it has to be that way. The left is, it's crazy how radicalized we're becoming and how much is being accepted. And a lot of that has to do with the media. Our news media now, that take you're talking about, a Biden stumbling on his words the other day.
Yeah.
That has went around social media. And there was a time when I was a kid, the news told the news. So when, I don't know if you remember Gary Hart, when he would run for,
of course,
and he got caught having a girlfriend.
Yep.
And it was on all of the media. It wasn't just
I used to know her name too. I can't remember it.
But yeah, so he was on the Democratic side, and he was running against Bush. And you may remember some of the jokes, Bush would like you to give him your heart. Hart would like you to give him his Bush.
Yes.
So
nice.
There was t-shirts made, but it was publicized. The media, maybe they used to be tilted, but they weren't 100%. So you got Fox News now out there that tells more right. They're more right biased, but they do still tell. Like, it's not like,
whoa, dude, we got a tornado warning here.
Well, Fox News will still let you know that Donald Trump is in court today, and that maybe it's not going great or whatever. They will tell you. They don't just ignore that like it's not happening. Whereas the stuff where Biden losing his footing and not knowing where he's at, and sometimes saying stuff, the media buries it. And anything that happens to people on the left, whether it was Biden's kid, the stuff that went on with him, remember during the last election, how that was actually told that Hunter Biden's laptop was not real. This was a Russian disinformation.
Yeah, right.
And you weren't allowed, and they wouldn't run it on social media. If you posted on social media, it was removed. How the New York Post was removed from social media.
Yes.
It sucks that we have a media and a press now. Like we used to, when we were kids, we learned about how China and Russia and North Korea did this stuff. That the government, the ruling party, controlled the media, and you were unable to see the opposition stance. And we truly in America now are seeing that. And it's sad.
Yeah, it is. We have, it's hard to find truth. And so when in the absence of real truth, people make up their own.
Yeah.
And that creates division, and it's a mess. So not to cut our show short, but I don't know. I just got the alert that says I should take some kind of shelter. I'm probably not going to take shelter, but that was sure jarring.
Well,
How's
if we had that studio in your basement, you could endeavor to persevere. But right now, you
I know. I'm working on it, man.
get off. Let's get off of here, and you can at least look at the radar and see if you're in immediate danger.
Yeah, I don't think I'm in immediate danger. I don't feel like I'm in immediate danger.
Yeah, famous last words of somebody, right. I'm
sure. No, Michael, I appreciate you coming on. Yeah, this is good. I hope to see you in person next week if you get back up this way. And I look forward to the comments from this show and the shorts that
we're going to do that soon, right? We're going to read through.
Yeah, we're going to go through and get some comments. We'll just do a comment show.
The comments, the ones that say that we're the stupidest, those are the ones I really want to focus on. The ones that just say we're idiots.
I got a comment the other day because I did a show last week that was as a faith-based question and answer show. And there was some really good response from it. I got stupid comments, like some guy sent in, Jesus sucks. What am I going to do with that, man? I mean, what are we talking about?
Off topic, but reminds me of some of the comments I've read directed at you or I. There's a guy posted a picture in Missouri, was down in Missouri, and he's mushroom hunting, and he's going through this brush, and he did have a sidearm, and a copperhead snake. He literally stepped on the back of the snake, and the snake struck his boot and didn't penetrate, and he shot and killed the snake. And people through the comments are talking about in Missouri, it's illegal to kill any snake unless it's a poisonous snake and it's around humans or you could be in danger.
Uh-huh.
So anyway, some guy in the comments said, I hope the next one kills you, you bastard. For this dude shooting a poisonous snake.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
I hope the next one kills you, you bastard.
It's just crazy.
So mad that he killed a poisonous snake.
That's our world, isn't it, bro?
World we're in.
That's where we're at.
All right, go seek some safety.
Seek and shelter. See you next time. Later, bro.